Hello guys and welcome to the second part of this wonderful series. What if Asta had Gojo's powers? Part 2, the Infinity. And I hope you will enjoy this part as well because this is when Asta starts to truly grow and also become more arrogant. Don't worry, I'm going to keep that same attitude to him. I hope you will enjoy. Don't forget to like and subscribe, hit the notification bell to stay up to date on all my future videos. I actually recorded this part before, by the way, but like my room was cold. The AC was like turned down, or like, yeah, it was super cold. I was shivering while trying to deliver lines, and I came back and I realized that I was a little bit messed up and I messed up the words in the script. So I'm doing it again. Don't worry, it'll be just as amazing as the first draft. So yeah, without any further ado, let's begin with the really long recap. Feel free to skip to this time if you don't want to hear it, but I will begin now. Let's begin with Asta living alone after having lost his status as a noble by certain people who had killed his family off. In this world, there are things called cursed beasts that exist and will be held up by giant walls. By bypassing these gates, Asta would enter their home and fight, and he would grit his teeth and his way through all of this and become strong. Asta had an almost narcissistic personality, which matched his beauty, and he was born with naturally white hair, eyelashes, all of that, and glistening eyes. And he goes to the Grimoire Tower, got a 3-leaf, only to be usurped by Yuno, who got a 4-leaf. He left angered on the way out and met Yuno later, and he was attacked in the hallway, an alleyway, my bad. And he saved him from Refchi, who he knocks out with a punch. He then told Yuno he wasn't going to lose to him, confusing Yuno, but as Asta left, he now felt more motivated to get strong. And during the months that they were given to train, Asta went after a grade 1 beast and almost died before then being saved by Kruger, who becomes his master, teaching him swordsmanship and some magic skills. After this, on his way to the capital, he meets Yuno and they butt heads, but end up being a bit close as they take the exams together before then going their separate ways, showcasing their great abilities. Asta, much to everyone's shock, chose the Black Bulls though, and went with Yami. As he arrived, he showed his bravado and ended up fighting Magna, who he beat, and he is then shown around and ends up meeting Noelle, who he hates due to her noble status. He and her butt heads before she then leaves, and Magna watches as Noelle rips off his precious black robe and threw it to the ground. The next day, after Asta forced Mana to help him clean up, he went out to train, but then he found Noelle training on her own and ends up hiding and watched her horribly practice. He became enraged to see her trying to use her magic so much because, well, it kind of pisses him off to see that she's acting like she has struggles. She does, but he just has a whole thing. And soon Noelle, enraged by her meeting with Asta from before, becomes trapped by her own spell and almost takes out the entire base along with the forest, and the bulls will then come out but can't stop it. That is until Asta comes out, and unlocking his first spell, he will learn the name of his magic, and he rips apart the giant water ball and saves Noelle, who he then tells that he will not lose to, of course. But weirded out by this, Vanessa would explain that Asta simply meant that, well, she's now his rival, and she thinks Asta is weird but takes his hand and gets up promising to get better, and this starts her love towards him. Soon Asta one day then returns from the base after being a level, grade 2 beast, it really goes either way, and gets a mission to go to Sashi village. As him, Noelle, and Magna go, they fight wars. Noelle almost gets hit, Asta saves her, berates her, they start to argue, while Magna tries to calm them down. At the moment though, they feel a surge of energy and come to find the village encircled by a mist barrier. And after seeing through this, with a pull away the mist and enter as he stops Heath just in time from killing a man, the very same man that Magna and Yami lost to and promised to do a request for. Asta would then take care of Heath's men, and they would fight, and Asta would end up slashing up Heath with Noelle unlocking her sea dragon's cradle. Now as Heath is defeated, Asta sheathes his blade, with Magna then using his fire to make a straitjacket to hold their beaten enemies. However, as he does, one of them begins to use water magic to try and get away. In that instant though, Asta will then appear right above him and slam a punch into his head, cratering into the ground while he covers his body with mana skin. I've been noticing it for a while now, but he always does that. I thought it was just part of his magic, but it's just mana, thought Noelle. As the enemy loses consciousness, Asta turns to stare daggers at Magna, who says, "Yeah, I know. Sorry. Whatever. At least these idiots survive," Asta said. The villagers are surprised that he says such a thing, and as he starts leaving, he will then tell that he just leave the rest of the others. This isn't my area of expertise anyway. What a strange young man. Yeah, but you saw it, right? He got mad on our behalf. He means well. Noelle then lowers her barrier, saying that he's just not good at talking with people, and Asta would say that he heard that. "So what?" Noelle yells. Asta from the forest then yells to shut up, and the village chief would then laugh as he thought, "A lover's quarrel. How fun youth is." Asta would then spend a few minutes alone leaning up against a tree with his eyes closed when he then feels something and open his eyes, and he would put up his infinity to see a strange magic bird trying to peck him. As the bird comes to a stop, it would then land on Asta's head, and he becomes very confused. "Why the hell do you have a magic stone? And get off my head!" He then tries to grab it, but it flies off and pecks at his head, making him scream in pain as he yells for it to stop. And this is when Magna and Noel arrive to see him. "Hey, what's up?" asks Magna. "This weird thing came at me and has a magic stone in its mouth and it won't leave me alone." As they hear this, they both get closer and inspect and say that this is the stone that the villagers said that those people were after. "Hey, where are those people then?" asks Asta. "What are you doing here without them?" "Well, their leader committed suicide with his magic taking them along with him," Noel said. "Jeez, they must have had some secret," Asta says. "Yeah, but luckily with that stone we can try to figure out something," says Magna. As he says this, an arrow will then land on Asta's head once again, and he will then burst with anger, but contains it, saying that he will let the birch stay, but if it keeps being annoying, he's just gonna kill it. They soon then return home and are congratulated by Yami and Vanessa. "You idiots are pretty good, huh?" "The only idiot here is you," states Asta, but he instantly has Yami grab him by the head and squeeze it, as he would then scream, calling him a gorilla and saying to let go. Yami eventually does let go, and even says that they got a start from Julius. "Well, seriously awesome," said Magna. "What the hell are you acting so excited for? We're down by -30, said Asta. This news shocks Noel, who asks just how lazy they've been, and Yami will then go and place the star on their board. The arrow once again lands on Asta's head, as Vanessa will then ask, "Oh, where did this little cutie come from?" "Talking about Miro the bird," Asta asks. "Ha ha, real funny," Vanessa said. Asta, however, says he's being serious because clearly the only cutie here is him, with Mana then saying the fact that he can say that so nonchalantly is kinda weird, but he cannot deny that Asta definitely has looks. "Well, anyway, the objects you brought back were sent to be investigated at the Magic Forensics Squad," said Vanessa. Yami then comes up saying they also get their first paycheck, and he will then hand them some pouches filled with, their currency, whatever it is, and Asta receives it and tightly holds it before then putting it away, almost looking mad at the reward. Vanessa then puts her arm around Asta, saying that she might as well just take him and Noel shopping then. "Maybe you can get a new sword even. What do you think?" "Why not?" We then cut to the three entering the capital streets as they see food stands, weapon shops putting their stuff on display, and people will be bartering and, so on. However, as they walk, Vanessa and Noel will notice it. The attention Asta is getting as women and even some men freeze up as he walks by and swoon. "This is pretty normal for you, huh?" asked the witch. "What the hell am I supposed to do about it?" "Well, at least we're not going to start a commotion saying it while everyone's too start to even move," thought Vanessa. Noel meanwhile would then give a glare to one of these girls, making them turn away as she would then blush, telling herself that it wasn't because, she liked Asta, but it was just because they were being annoying, being tsundere like. They soon then take a turn and end up in the black market, which in comparison to the main streets looks far more facetious and mysterious, but also dirty and quiet. From afar, we'll then be watching Seki as he grinds his teeth, being jealous of Asta, who was not only blessed with good looks, despite being commoner, but was also surrounded by beauties. "Help! Help, please!" Past Seki then runs a thief using wind magic to run faster, and the old lady who would have screamed this would then run out of the alleyway asking for someone to stop him. Already Asta readies his magic and holds one hand out, but Seki smirks, using his magic to create a bike, and he rides after the robber. "I'll stop this guy and show those ladies my good side. You're too late, commoner." Asta meanwhile didn't really care, as he'd be thinking calmly. "When it comes to my normal use of pulling things, as long as the target doesn't possess much more magic than me, I can still..." The robber would then lose footing and is pulled back at the speed of sound, hitting Seki off his bike before he's then met by a punch to the face, and he then craters to the ground, dropping the elder's belongings. "He pulled him over. Interesting," thought the old lady. Seki as he lay on the ground embarrassed and watches as Asta gives the old lady back her stuff, and he starts to hate him even more. After giving back her stuff, the bulls then start to leave, not really having found anything interesting, and they just want to get some food now. The old lady meanwhile heads to an alley and lets down her disguise to show that she is a he, and he is Julius Chrono, the Wizard King. What an interesting magical ability, but there was something weird about him. Especially his eyes, he thought. Time skip. A new dungeon is found, and as such, Julius personally picks some juniors from the Golden Dawn and the Black Bulls to go check it out. And as they enter the dungeon, Asta, Noel, and Luck walk down a tunnel, with Noel suggesting some names for the magic bird that had attached itself to Asta. "How about Sylvantis? Stop trying to attribute it to the Silva family. Also, I don't care." Nero would then fly to Luck while Asta and Noel argue before Luck then suggests the name Nero, which Nero raises her wing in agreement with. "Yeah, sure, whatever," said Asta. "It's better than whatever the hell she's saying." Noel, while she pouts, does agree that it is a good name, and they continue on their way. As they go further down, blinded by darkness, they soon reach the true dungeon, and are left amazed by the magical energy that is just letting off. However, by accident, Asta will then step somewhere, and a magic circle will then form, releasing a torrent of ice, only for it to be blown away by his magic, just as he is then hit. "So there are traps. Good to know," he said. He, however, then feels another release of magic, which is then thrown at Noel, who blocks it. "What'd you do that for?" Noel would ask Luck, who says, "For fun." "Fun?" she would say. Luck then runs to a trap and another trap, and just keeps doing so, and now annoying the two with his bullshit, and they slowly begin to understand why Mana actually warned them about Luck before they came here. When he finished bothering them, though, he just left, and Asta would then scream with anger. "When I see you again, you're dead. Dead, you hear me? Dead." As he huffs and screams, Noel then steps back, activating a trap, with Vines then releasing and grabbing onto her, and Asta would then turn and realize that this is a grade 4 beast making an appearance. But it was of the plant variety. There are different varieties, like a lot. You just have to have curse power, and if you like, they have an eerie energy. That's all you need to know for them to be like a grade 4 beast. You can just detect it. In an instant, Asta then takes out a sword and appears right in front of Noel as the vines are then cut and she falls to her butt, but the real beast will then make itself known before Asta and goes to attack. Asta is about to retaliate when an eagle made of wind then flies past him, piercing and killing it. Wind magic, thought Noel, as she turns and sees Yuno, Klaus, Mimosa arrive. Asta then turns, hanging his blade on her shoulder. You just couldn't help yourself, could you? Slowly they descend on Yuno's wind arc, and after stepping out of a tunnel, they drop down. And after landing, Yuno will then see that this, has repaid his debt to Asta, who then scoffs saying he had that anyway, so don't interfere. The Golden Dawn then comes face to face with the bulls as the rivals then stare each other down. Our purpose is to raid this dungeon. You better have a good reason as to why you helped this filth, said Klaus. Filth? Oh, I'm gonna kill you, Asta said. He releases a shit ton of bloodlust, which is even more intensified when he figures out that Klaus is obviously a noble, and the noble is taken aback. Of course, commoners such as yourself would react in such a way. You're not what, said Klaus. The two then begin to stare down, but most of them recognizing and approaching Noel. I heard the Black Bulls are pretty barbaric. Are you fine with that? Oh, I'm fine with it. I used to be a little bit surprised. I was about to ask if someone as clumsy as yourself would last in the Golden Dawn, said Noel. Oh, everyone's super friendly, so because of them I've gained great control of my powers. How about you though? You didn't have the best control. She then slightly looks to Asta by accident at this point, making her blush and angry Noel, who thinks that she's always been a little insolent with her snarky remarks, but she's crossing the line now. Of course, this is just a big misunderstanding between the girls though. Noel just thinks that Mimosa is snarky. She's not. She legitimately cares about Noel. Mimosa, however, then regains a bit of composure and changes the conversation, saying they received the mission to come here from the Wizard King himself after they personally got a star from him. Oh, us too, Noel said. Huh, as if, Klaus yells. We don't need your validation, Four Eyes, Asta said. Just like you, we were sent here by that king, or whatever. Even if that were true, where's your third member then? Don't tell me you lost him. As Asta starts to only hate Klaus more and more, we find out what Luck has been up to, getting his ass handed to him as he finds himself locked in a prison of Lotus's smoke magic. Sorry kid, but I can't lose here. Luck, however, continues to struggle, though aimlessly, as he mutters that he must win, with his eyes being filled with unyielding fighting spirit. But his fighting spirit is misplaced and fueled by something much more heinous that Lotus would pick up on. Though he does not know what plagues Luck's mind, he is definitely too dangerous to be left alive, so he tightens his prison, with Luck then starting to get weaker and weaker. However, before it's too late, the smoke is then ripped to shreds and blown away as Asta appears right before Lotus, who becomes nervous, with Asta then slashing upward. But the Major barely dodged, getting his ropes cut instead. And another one arrives. Who are you two? Noel would arrive as well, and she holds her wand out, saying that they were Luck's teammates, but Asta simply looks mad as he's about to turn and scold Luck, but in a flash, he runs past him, creating his lightning claws and boots. I have to win. I have to keep winning. If I lose, then she'll leave me in. Mom will leave me in. I'll be alone. Sit down and listen, said Asta, with him then fortifying himself with mana skin and upping his speed as he appears right in front of a surprised Luck before then punching him right into the ground. Lotus and Noel are surprised by the development, while Asta will just scream at him, Are you stupid or something? You don't get to do whatever you want on my watch. Luck is stunted right as Asta grabs him by the collar. Listen to me, you little I don't give a damn what your issues are at the moment. We came here together. We're a team. You get hurt and we lose credibility. During that moment, Lotus releases a wave of smoke by holding his sword forward. Asta would then pull it over before then throwing it aside with a glare, and he would then thrust, releasing a dimensional cut that rips open and almost hits Lotus's heart. He's in a different league, but it'll still be nothing compared to him, he thought. His body then thuds to the floor as he begins to bleed out, and Noel then runs up telling Asta to calm down. She pries him off Luck and says, What I think he means is, we're a team. You can't just go off on your own like that. We're here for you, you know? Luck quickly then returns to his senses, not because he made a realization, but because he kept ignoring the fact that his teammates, were here for him to rely on. He no longer needed his mother, he had the bulls, and he would then smile and stand straight. Yeah, I guess fighting together is more fun. The hell do you mean by fun? I swear I'm gonna kill you. Calm down, he's clearly come back to his senses, Noel would say. Sorry about that, I just got lost in my thoughts, Luck would say. Noel would then sigh, saying she can't believe that he's their senpai, and just ask for him to calm down because they're here to help. Right, Asta? Looking to him, she waits for an answer, but turning, he would just say that they better hurry, because they need to reach that treasure room first. Never do like that again. Got it, he said. With a thumbs up, Luck would then say, got it. Covering himself with mana, Asta then runs forward, with the two of them falling right behind, as Nero then flies and lands on his head, and after doing so, she points to the left. You're telling me to to go there. That's where it is. Naru would then nod as he would then switch directions, saying that she better be right, and the others follow after. As he runs and runs ahead with all his might, Luck would be in thought as he would see that Asta was using something that their captain always did. It's making him super fast, he thought. Quickly, they would then reach a tunnel and run until Asta would be the first to reach the end and leap out into an open area. He sees Yuno about to be cleaved by Mars' giant sword. Klaus was also down for the count, and Mimosa was healing herself because she wasn't like in bad state. But the flying mage then notices Asta's presence as he turns, creating another sword, as he would then swing it at him in response. Asta unsheathes his blade and strikes, and as they clash, this gives Yuno time to run out of the sword's way as he would then cut through the ground. "Get the hell off me!" Asta yells as he pushes away his sword before then kicking the air, allowing him to fly forward and blitz Mars with a smile, only to then be instantly pierced from all sides by mineral blades. Luck, Noel, and Yuno then yell out his name in worry and anger, but gritting his teeth, Asta would then explode with mana that shatters the minerals, and he also starts to leak blood as he would then slash. He doesn't really care anyway, he's gonna fight. Mars would then avoid a wave of magic while Asta begins to fall, but Luck would then catch him. "Stop moving, you're just gonna..." He then comes to a stop when he sees Asta actually tightening his muscles, and the bleeding stops as he would then stand on his own, saying, "Nah, screw that, look at him. That bastard thinks he got the advantage, so we're gonna thoroughly destroy him." Mars and everyone feels his unyielding spirit and bloodlust, causing Yuno to rise again. "I can't complain then, can I? If you beat him in that state, then I lose." Noel, as she arrives beside them, then realizes Mimosa is hurt and gets mad, saying that she'll run to her and they will give her an opening. Asta and Luck then nod, with Asta then tightening his grip and Luck bursting with lightning, while Yuno then gathers his magic, and in that instant, they all attack. Quickly, Mars creates mineral cones that charge at them, and Luck actually ends up saving Klaus while he makes a way for Noel to reach Mimosa, and Klaus would then become very ashamed. Meanwhile, Asta reaches Mars, who tries to hit him with a shard, but he would just cut through it and extend his magic to Mars, who feels something approaching, so he makes his armor, only for it to be shattered. He actually reached him, thought Klaus, but how? He's filled with injuries. Tightening his grip again, Asta would then slash again as Mars then steps back, avoiding it, creating another huge mineral blade, but it is slightly blown off course by Yuno, just as Mars' torso would then explode with a cut. A delayed effect, they all think. "Yeah, it doesn't feel good, right?" Asta said. Noel at this point then reaches and puts a barrier over Mimosa, who apologizes for being in this sorry state. "Like I said, you were always clumsy, which is why I'm gonna protect you this time," Noel said. Lighting up with happiness, Mimosa then thanks her, and Noel finds that Klaus is about to be hit by an attack at this point, so she saves him with a water blast. "What are you doing? Pay attention." "It can't be you. You expect me to calm down over some arrogant commoner still fighting despite such injuries? It must be luck, something. It can't be talent." "Then keep watching and see if it's really just luck," Noel would say. Meanwhile, Yuno tries to help Asta, but he is running low on magic, so soon Asta ends up fighting on his own against Mars. During their battle, Mars would then make a gigantic arm as he would then push and punch, and he would then stop right in front of Asta, causing a ripple to show a transparent barrier around the mage. Spatial magic, Mars thought. They all then feel an enormous concentration of mana from this barrier, but feeling annoyed, Mars would then create a full-on golem and throw another punch with his other hand, which Asta would block, but he's barely able to do it in time, so he is pushed back, and he starts to spew blood, and his clothes are now completely ripped up to show his body, and Klaus would see it. He sees Asta's body covered with scars that were already there, and it seemed as if every muscle on his body had been worked to the bone. He was ripped. "What are you?" asked Mars. "What kind of mage works on their body that much? Are you insane?" "Maybe, but I have something to reclaim. You're standing in my way at the moment, and you're standing in mine," said Mars. His golem then runs at Asta with high speed, with everyone then becoming worried since they can't make it and help, but in that moment, Asta remembers what he was taught by Kruger. He studies his breathing, and this would give him a new spell, which once again becomes inscribed in his mind, but it's different. It's a different type of spell. It's not conventional in this sense at all. The boy would swing upward with all his strength, and in that moment, as if time stood still, his mana would then flash back, releasing a black flash of lightning made from the purest form of mana, which would then blow back Mars and completely destroy his golem in one go. "What is that?" Yuno thought. "That mana." As Mars is sent flying, Asta would then thrust, and a red wave of mana is then released, hitting Mars in the stomach and causing him to spew blood. "You never beat me with that half-assed goal, you bastard," Asta would say. The diamond mage would then crater to the floor while ripping through it, and Asta would then fall to one knee, using his sword to hang on while Luck would then run over. "You did it! You really did it!" "Of course I did, you idiot." Noel would then be amazed and be happy that he was alive, but also didn't relent and was his usual self when close to near death. Yuno meanwhile realized that he still hadn't reached him yet, and Mimosa was simply surprised at the contrast between his body and his face. And his clear days worked very hard, but Klaus was just stupefied. He just kept pushing through it. That body of his. He's insane, he thought. Slowly, Asta would then stand and tell Luck to get off him, and he would then steady his breathing as he walks towards the treasure room. He's lived his whole life on the edge and fighting beasts, so suffice to say that he's extremely used to these extreme injuries, so this was nothing. He's had much worse. Hurry the hell up, we have work to do. But your injury, said Noel. Doesn't matter, this much is nothing. Soon they all then gathered, with Klaus putting Mars in a metal straitjacket, and Asta would then cut up in the magic gate. As they entered, they found a number of bizarre artifacts, and as they checked this out, Asta would be checking his grimoire, as he saw he had 2 new spells. Red? It's just called red? Well, it must be because of that black flash thing, right? Strangely, I don't even feel that hurt anymore. At this moment, he's then blinded by a bright light, as he then turns to see Yuno holding a scroll illuminating with green mana. The scroll will then soon stop shining, and Yuno sees the glyphs on it are gone. What was that light just now? Asked Klaus. I don't know. Luck meanwhile starts to get uneasy as he walks around. Something just didn't feel right until something would then just click with him. Guys, run away from the gate is then blown open fully by Mars, who enters it with his giant golem, and he starts to have a cloak of fire start to heal him. 2 attributes? He can't use 2 elements? It shouldn't even be possible, thought Klaus. Instantly, he, Yuno, and Luck are trapped by mineral shards and become unable to move, and Asta is also trapped, but his mana will release naturally and just shatter the magic before he then leaps towards him. He slashed releasing his red spell, but it was swatted away by Mars. Shit, I'm low on mana, he thought. From above, Mars would then summon to the ground with one of his gigantic arms, and Asta doesn't manage to block it in time, leaving him cratered 10 feet deep in the ground. Noelle quickly goes to extinguish the flames with her magic, but she is sent flying, begins to bleed out, leaving Mimosa horrified as she runs to her and covering with mana. She starts to do the same for Asta, trying to heal them, and the others try to get free, and, well, they're not having much luck. Her trump card is out of the fight, so I can finally watch you die, Mars said. He will then go after his first victims, Mimosa and Noelle, but as his blades attack, they are then trapped by the infinity in mid-air. Luck and Yuno then show a grin as they realize what just happened, and the blades are shattered just as Asta will then stand again. You wanted to get rid of me that fast, huh? Well, I'm flattered, but nah. His eyes will then gleam as he slashes, releasing another red shockwave, which slightly blows back Mars, angering him. Who the hell said you could hurt my people? Huh? Asta would say. You. Concentrate all that healing on the wall, I don't need it. She's not dying yet. We got a score to settle. Mimosa is about to point out that he is in a much worse state than her, but Noelle will then regain consciousness, saying, I'm not going anywhere, so you better beat that guy. Well, obviously, he'd say. His magic will then rise more than ever before, and feeling angered at not being able to do anything, Yuno's magic rises as well, freeing him as both he and Asta will then scream. A gigantic gust of wind will then combine with Asta's limitless magic, turning it to a destructive red tornado of sorts that Mars tries to defend, but everything of his is destroyed. He craters into a wall and causes a massive explosion that shakes everything, just as Yuno will then turn to see a little flying fairy beside him, and everyone does as well. With a yawn, she would then wave goodbye and fade away, giving Yuno a new spell in his grimoire as Asta would yell, What the hell was that? Are you trying to take my win? What was that thing? Klaus thought. Klaus and Luck would then become free, with everyone being surprised at what Yuno had just conjured, including himself, but they have no time for that as the dungeon will then begin to shake and crack. This place is coming down, yells Asta. Giant rubbles will then begin to fall, and quickly Yuno will then make his wind arc, telling everyone to get on. Quickly Asta will then get Noelle and put her on there, and Mimosa will then follow up and just get in there, and Klaus is already there, all of that, they all get in. However, Asta starts to run back from Mars. What do you think you're doing, yells Klaus. Shut up, I'm not done with him yet. He gets to Mars, just as Yuno will then begin to rise, and a giant boulder will then fall, blocking Asta's way as he runs back. But instead of panicking, he just jumps on it and leaps as he will then land right on the arc and say, go. Yuno quickly moves up, but finds it hard to navigate, so Luck will then tell him where to go with his sense of mana, and at that moment they're intercepted by a giant boulder that begins to fall from above, and Asta goes to attack it, but it is taken out by Klaus and Luck, with the falling excess of rubble just being caught by Asta's infinity and just flung away. But just doing this will make his brain ache as he will start to bleed from his nose. Asta, yells Yuno. I'm fine, go up. Does he just not feel pain, they all thought? Mimosa at this point starts to heal him, saying, sorry, I'm not that good, but I'll try. I'm fine either way, but yeah, thanks. Slowly they rise higher and higher until they reach the top and get out of there before everything collapses in on itself just in time, and falling onto the debris, they can finally relax, with Asta then setting down Mars, and then Lotus will then walk out holding a bountiful treasure with the smoke magic, and everyone gets ready for a fight. But Asta just says, take him. That easily? Lotus asked. Easy? Next time I meet you, I might kill both of you. But it wasn't one-on-one today, so I'm not gonna win that way. Yep, that's so like you, said Luck. Lotus is legitimately worried about making a move as his last cut is still stinging, and Asta would then ask if he was gonna hurry up. So sensing no hostility, he quickly just took back Mars, and Asta would then turn, saying to wash themselves. Thanks, kid. I don't want your thanks. Right, Lotus would say. With these words, he then left on a cloud of smoke, as Klaus would then muster up the courage to say sorry and apologize to both Asta and Yuno. I kept doubting you at every turn, even with you being my own teammate, Yuno. But you two, you're true knights. I don't need you to tell me that, Asta would say. It's okay, I don't particularly mind, but I accept your apology, said Yuno. Klaus would then thank them for being able to put up with him, as Asta then turns seeing Noelle heal, and she blushes seeing him stare straight at her. Hey, your clothes are pretty messed up bad, Asta would say. Realizing this, she looks down, seeing her chest almost fully exposed, and covers it, and she was filled with embarrassment, so she shoots a water attack at Asta, who was sent flying. I'm gonna freaking kill you! Days would then pass as we find Noel and Asta walking down the capital, when they would then meet the Golden Dawn team. Asta, Klaus would yell as he runs to him and checks on his body, asking if he's really fine, and if he's supposed to be out like this, and he says, "Get off me, it was nothing, I got healed." I think he's just pointing out that you have a naturally high pain tolerance, Noel said. It's called training, maybe you know if you weren't such a spoiled little shit. Shut up. I quite like talking, your highness, Asta would say. The two of them begin to argue, with Klaus trying to calm them down, but Mimosa was too nervous to intervene like usual because she started to develop feelings for Asta. Soon Asta and Noel then soon stop fighting, and the group resumes walking. Did you find out what that thing was? Asta asked. No, said you know. Asta was scoffed, saying he better because it's boring if he doesn't retaliate, and would then say he will not keep falling behind. Are you two perhaps close? Asked Klaus. We lived in the same area, said. Well, at least I think so. Where did you live? Near the walls. As they all hear this, they become shocked with Asta continue to walk while they freeze, but then they start to wonder if he really did what they think he did. Mimosa asks, don't tell me you. Yeah, I fought them, so what? But that's not normal. Didn't their curse latch onto you? Asked Klaus. That's a misconception made by nobles. Dumb nobles. If anything, it made me tough, Asta would say. Becoming silent, they cannot understand the secret of his strength and don't really know how to respond, but it made so much more sense why he has so many scars and why he has such a high pain tolerance. How would you do such a thing to yourself? Asked Klaus. Yeah, you're either just crazy or that stubborn. Not that it's not amazing, said Noel. Asta would then respond by saying, I didn't have a choice, and I'm most definitely crazy, but it helped. It gets weird being alone. The only thing those creatures can do is make you despair. Looking to him with empathy, they would then feel as though he's hiding much more, and it sounds like his childhood wasn't exactly the best, but Asta senses it and says to cut it out. Don't you dare underestimate me. Never said, You're my rival after all. Good. You guys should try it out sometimes. It works really good, said Asta, and everyone says they'd rather not because that sounds like suicide, and Asta says it's their loss. They would then reach the Clover Castle, and they meet a blonde-haired man in a robe decorated with medals, and he would then say, Welcome, young knights. Instantly, the nobles would then fall to one knee and bow as becomes confused before then being told this man was the Wizard King, and instantly he bows as well. So this is him, thought. However, they all noticed that Asta was still standing. Klaus would say, Asta this, oh I know who he is, Asta would say. A Wizard King. Ever heard of a little family called Satoru? Hearing this name puts the fear of God in Julius, with everyone then noticing this as the king would then clear his throat, saying they can all stand, and as they do, Mimosa would then ask if he was okay. Of course, he'd say. He then goes to Asta, who glares at him, and the king then thought, it's him, the first victim. So you do know. That's all I need. Carry on, Asta said. Hey, you can't just talk to him like that. This is the Wizard King, said Klaus. Julius, however, says that it's fine, telling them all to follow him, and they go to the tower, where Klaus would then give his report of everything that happened, and then Julius asks for Yuno's grimoire, seeing his new spell. Good job getting this. It's probably the most interesting thing that was in there, he'd say. So you can read it, asked Somewhat. Alright. Here, and good luck. It'll be of great use to you, I guarantee it. Takes back the grimoire, thanking him, but then asks what everyone wants to ask. What is the Satoru family? The atmosphere becomes almost unbearable, but Asta would say, I had a friend. He used to be a part of it. It was a noble family, but it's gone now. We then have a flashback to see a young Asta as his parents would then be in front of him as their house burnt down around them. His father would then turn saying, Asta, survive, okay? Wait, no, why is this happening? We didn't do anything. His mother then turns saying, it's okay. We'll meet back with you, okay? Take the secret door and run, okay? Mommy and Dad are gonna be just fine. With tears in his eyes, Asta would then run the opposite way and make his way through the flames as every step he takes burns what he holds out until he makes it out, and he runs and runs without stopping for even a moment. He then returns to the present, and we would flash forward and we see Asta step into the throne room with everyone then seeing the following nights. Fagolian was there, Charlotte was there, Sol was there, Libo was there, Nozel, Nebula, Solid, Haman, Alidora, and Siren. Let's begin the Vow Ceremony, the king said. As Asta makes his appearance, his almost angelic look makes the noble second guess his commoner status before they then see him grow a malicious grin. Well, I'm definitely gonna show more than you bastards, he said. Goddamn insect, thought Alidora, as everyone can clearly see that he's arrogant and they're spot on, so they now consider him an enemy of sorts, but all in different ways. But how the hell can that commoner have better looks than me, thought Solid. He bit his nails in frustration as Asta then made his way down, with his hair waving about in the air, making even Sol react as she would then face away from him, and Charlotte would then notice it as she thought, it's so annoying, isn't it? Noah, however, cannot help but evade the gaze of her siblings, wondering why she just had to meet them today. The Vow Ceremony would then continue though, as Asta and Yuno would then gain credentials and are included in it, which the nobles do not particularly like. And after the ceremony, they are then dropped off in the banquet room, and much to the surprise of all the nobles, they find Asta eating quite eloquently, and Yuno would then sit by him, and he was shocked to see this. taught you how to do that? My friend, I picked it up as a habit. Alright, he was a noble. Seeing they cannot insult Asta or, based on like terms of manners, especially Asta, and like in terms of looks, they simply talk about their background as commoners, and Klaus will then watch as Asta says, well, actually nothing. He stays the calmest he's ever been, to the point where it feels creepy. How would the Wizard King leave us here? We're clearly unwelcome, he thought, and he actually said out loud, and Mimosa would then say, maybe it's a test of sorts? At this moment, Leopold would then approach Alidora, who becomes irritated at the sight of the young knight. The young knight would then speak. You have a commoner in your group, right? Seems like he doesn't know his place. I would have handled that dungeon much better. That's some confidence, you Crimson Lion brat, but we didn't expect much from him, said Alidora. We shall be the ones to make Sir Vanya's dream come true. Hearing this conversation, Klaus would then go to defend only to be reprimanded. You, both you and Mimosa, you disgrace the Golden Dawn with your skill. Do you not feel ashamed? Hanging their heads to become meek, as they cannot deny they were not much help, and simply listens as he has to holding his anger. But Noelle was having it worse as she comes face to face with her siblings. So the failure shows herself. What are you doing here, asked Solid. I just wanted. You were practically expelled, mind you, Nebula says. I'm surprised you even show your face outside. Sister Nebula, I leave. She becomes unable to speak as she freezes in the presence of Nozel, who would approach saying, you do not belong here. Leave, you failure. Nobles would watch and snicker, with Noelle's spirit coming just down and down, becoming crushed, and she then has water poured on her head by Solid. Even this is more skillful than your pathetic spells. The whole room freezes as Solid is then slapped across the face by Asta, and he drops the cup, which Asta then catches. Asta? Noelle said. Man, you're pathetic. I thought you were gonna beat me. Becoming angry at what just happened, Solid then screams, shooting a water lance, only for it to freeze before Asta, leaving him shocked, with Asta then starting to laugh. Oh man, I love this. The water spell just splashes to the ground as Asta would then jump back before then landing on her table, saying, shit like that won't work anymore. The infinity cannot be applied for God knows how long. Has this commoner gone insane? Slapping someone from the Silver family? Asta is surrounded by a sand prison that binds him, with Alidora then saying to stop doing things out of his pay grade, only for the sand to be blown away to show Asta making a hand sign without a single bruise on him. How is this possible, said Alidora. I'll tell you something. My magic. Holding the cup out, he then crumbles it, using his powers until a sphere of glass is left, and a huge concentration of dense mana can be felt. My magic allows me to bring to reality the concept of infinity. In that sense, things that come close to me become slower and slower forever, meaning you cannot touch me. It's the convergence of immeasurable series. Who else wants to try me? What kind of spatial magic is that? He must be bluffing. There's no way such amazing magic can belong to a commoner? Of course, some are confused about his status still. However, the mages were too scared to try anything, and he looked so confident, but this is when Nozel would then walk up. Anyone, that means me as well, right? Asta would then scowl at the captain. You're the same bastard who refuses his sister, right? I would love to give you a smackdown. However, Asta was feeling legitimate fear. Since that flash, however, his magic has changed and gained far more versatility, allowing him to even understand what it truly was to its core. Honestly, he just wants to test it. That's enough. The Crimson Lion would then march to the Silver Eagle as they begin to stare at us for going with an ass. Do you not feel any shame? Seeing the captains intervene made the others surprised, but annoys Asta, who then sees Leopold approach him. Ah, you're really interesting. That magic is amazing. You become my rival right now. Asta would then scoff as he jumps down, saying, you're nowhere near my level. He would then crush the glass sphere as it explodes with mana, which freezes all young mages, even the seniors in fear. While the captains aren't affected, though, they understand that Asta was strong. The infinity, huh? Thought Nozel. But he must be bound by the limits of magical capacity. And yet he still spoke in such a way. This boy, he's dangerous. This is the thought that ran through all of their heads. But we will end this part off here. I hope you have enjoyed this second part. This is all in advance, like the Kekkei Genkai, Isuku What If. So I just hope for the best, and I hope you guys have enjoyed yourselves. I hope that you have enjoyed the slap effect. I slapped myself for that one. You're welcome. You're very, very welcome. I didn't think I was actually gonna do it, but yeah, I slapped myself. That's how far I go for y'all. Yeah, subscribe and hit the notification bell, please do, because YouTube be doing some bull. And y'all don't get my videos, like, you don't know my videos are even uploaded when I upload them, so please check that shit. I'm still working on the new video, my new series for my second channel. I just have to finish the second part up to make myself feel more confident to move forward, you know, because I want to make sure that I want to finish through with this series. So if I get past the second part, we'll get it. If not, I'll have to try something else. And I will leave y'all to your day. Peace. I'm gone.